a completely different attitude from the team. Not that they couldn't get it over the line and get the 3 points, but the quality that he brought to that Manchester United side was incredibly different to what Martial, not just in possession, but out of possession, with his closing down, with his intelligence, with his football IQ. It was a breath of fresh air for me. And yeah, I think Ollie's got to take responsibility for his team selection. I know that he's thinking maybe I'm going to protect Cavani because he played the majority of the game in the last game. But for me, he looks fit as a fiddle, and we said it on the day, Sam. He looked fit and he looked ready and he looked hungry to do well.
Aston Villa beat Palace by 3-0. I mean, this has got to be the worst Crystal Palace performance of the season, because 7-0 against Liverpool, anyone can do that to you, but 3-0 against a Aston Villa team that were down to 10 men for the majority of the game, that's really worrying for Roy Hodgson, isn't it, Trevor?
Yeah, really worrying. I mean, listen, going to Villa, I think they've been superb under Dean Smith. I think his recruitment's been exceptional. We keep on talking about Jack and stuff like that. But for me, El Ghazi, some of the other players are really starting to step up now. But looking at the way Palace have been performing, I think it's a real concern. You know, I was talking about them maybe 6 weeks ago and thinking, Benteke started scoring again. They look really fit. The boy Eze's coming from QPR, starting to look the part. Zaha looked like he was on flames. But now, all of a sudden, it seems like the wind's come out of their sail. They can't defend, can't keep clean sheets, and not scoring a lot of goals. So, yeah, I'd be very concerned if I was a Crystal Palace fan.
4th clean sheet in a row for Aston Villa. And Ollie Watkins in particular, I thought, played really well at the top of the formation. He worked his socks off. He was absolutely brilliant. I mean, when you're down to 10 men for as long as they were, and yet you've beaten your opponents on the shot count 20-13. Off, all in, and 9-6 on target. I mean, that's a real worry, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Roy Hodgson was upset after the Liverpool game. I think he'll be even more upset after this one, Crook.
Yeah, it's a big few months ahead, actually, for Crystal Palace, because they've got an awful lot of players coming to the ends of their contracts. I'm not convinced that Roy Hodgson will still be the Crystal Palace manager at the start of next season. I think there could well be a change there, and maybe that's why decisions aren't yet being made on contracts. I think Eddie Howe could be someone who could possibly go in there and maybe take on a bit of a rebuild job, not too far north as far as he's concerned. That will come into his thinking. But in terms of Aston Villa, they've been excellent in these first 13 games, and they got 2 games in hand, I think, over some teams.
Yeah.
Ollie Watkins has fitted into the Premier League like he's played there his whole career. Ross Barkley, when he's fit, was a great signing as well. Jack Grealish has taken his game on to a new level. And as you mentioned, they've got Chelsea next up. I think they could cause problems for Frank Lampard's team. And it's going to be difficult because there are probably 6 or 7 teams who would be better equipped to challenge for Europe than for them, but they've got to be starting to think in those terms.
Let's move on to Manchester City very quickly. 2-0 winners over Newcastle. We'll do a little bit more on them when it comes to their next game, which is Everton on Monday night. Manchester City have won 12 Premier League home games against Newcastle, scoring 41 goals and conceding just 7. And they've now kept 13 clean sheets in all competition this season, Trevor, which is the most in Europe's top 5 leagues. So we used to go on about Manchester City being this devastating attacking team. Actually, now they're just brilliant at defending.
Yeah, excellent defensively. I've been saying that all season. I think Ruben Diaz coming in, probably been one of the best players at Manchester City this season, alongside Cancelo at left back, who's right-footed, but he's been playing left back and doing a superb job. One of the most improved players at Manchester City for sure. I think John Stones coming back in, finding that form, getting the opportunity to play central defender has been a massive boost. Listen, we're struggling for goals. They're huffing and puffing. They're doing everything right. 60-70% possession, doing everything that they've been doing in the past, apart from finishing off the moves. And, if you've not got Aguero, unfortunately, Jesus, he's just fallen a little bit short. They need to get somebody in. Because I think the fact that Aguero's missing so many games, Manchester City need to start getting used to not having Aguero. And if that's the case, if they want to start competing for the Championship, want to start competing in the Champions League, they need a striker. Simple as that.
Sheffield United were beaten at home again, this time by Everton by a goal to nil. Gylfi Sigurdsson with the only goal in that match. It means that it's, I think it's a 13th defeat in 15 games for Sheffield United. Fulham and Southampton drew 0-0 on Saturday. Crook, anything to say about that?
Fulham played well. I thought Saints tactically were quite clever. They doubled up on Ademola Lookman. Carl Walker-Peters, who if he was left-footed would be a shoo-in, I think, for an England call-up, but because he's right-footed, he might struggle. He was excellent again. 2 goals correctly ruled out by VAR. A lot of Saints fans complaining, actually, we only got a point away at Fulham. Just remember where you were this time 12 months ago. It's a decent enough result.
Don't start on them as well. Crikey.
Well, 7 games unbeaten away from home. They're not going to play brilliant football every week. And the important thing, when you're not at your best, don't lose.
Ralph, I love you. Let's move on to Monday.
And Werner has got clear, and he's at the edge of the penalty area. It's Timo Werner, he's stabbed in, and Chelsea have won the game. Pulisic has got their 3rd goal. 3-1 they lead.
Aston Villa 3, Crystal Palace 0, and this will probably be game over now as far as Villa are concerned. Now El Ghazi has got the goal. What a finish that was.
Chelsea versus Aston Villa is a 5:30 kickoff on Monday afternoon, live on Talk Sport. Callum Hudson-Odoi probably going to make a second Premier League start of the season. Frank Lampard saying he's going to shuffle his pack here. Ziyech is back in contention. There's no Tyrone Mings. Barkley can't play because he's on loan from Chelsea. But this is an important game for Frank Lampard, isn't it? I mean, Chelsea have lost 3 of their last 4 after 17 matches unbeaten in all competitions, Trevor. They need to find a way to win this fixture.